you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I will share also my screen. Let me uh, get. I'm making this bigger and let me know if everything
It's
is
work. Yes.
shown
Good.
perfectly. Okay, okay. Hi, good afternoon also from my side and from Athens. My name is Christina ANAGNOSTOPOULOU. Thank you very much, Francesca, and to the Steve Consortium for this invitation. I'm happy of behalf of the coordination team to present this project that falls, of course, under the same scope of integrating electrified L category vehicles into the transport and the electricity networks. To give you an overview, this is a 3-year European funded project under the Horizon 2020. You can still see my screen, I hope, right? Okay. This is a total of 21 partners that they have been working to support 1-year-long large-scale demonstrations of LVs into real conditions and with testing with real users and collecting these data under also different usage schemes for private transport as well as for delivery of light goods. So starting with the city of Trikala here in Greece and also the cities of Bari, Berlin, Rome, Genoa and Malaga. There were already started since April 2019 and still running 6 big large-scale demonstrations, including different categories of LVs, along with a developed ICT platform that includes services like parking and charging services, but also applications and tools to be used for facilitation and motivation of the users of the vehicles. There is also a development of a big database that includes and keeps the data from the trips as well as from the surveys that come from the users. And the purpose is that all this is going to be analyzed and appropriate replicable business models will be created along with proposed guidelines to the OEMs as well to the authorities. And of course, a big important part is the involvement of the users and the stakeholders, thus the creation of follower cities and the regional support groups that I will explain also later. In the beginning, in order to evaluate what was the baseline situation at the start of the project, there was a wide online survey that we managed to receive more than 7,000 responses. And this actually showed that at the time, the experience with LVs was really very low, except for Berlin. And most of the cities and the responders were having an interest into the LV sharing schemes. That, of course, criteria like topography, the charging infrastructure were also important for them. And most of the participants responded that they would use an LV in a part of a multimodal journey, and they were very also interested in specific incentives. These are the 4 types of the LVs that were used per demonstrator city. So there was a number of LVs and includes also e-bicycle, e-scooter, 3-cycles and quadricycles. And in part of the ICT assets that were deployed were applications that were targeting the drivers in order to motivate and facilitate the usage of the vehicles, but also other tools that were targeting the operators in order to enable them to do some actions and monitor not only the users, but also the vehicles. This is the ICT platform that on the left-hand side, we can see that is the input of the data sources. So all the data are coming from the ICT tools, the applications, from the trips and from the vehicles themselves, and also from the replies that we received to the questions and the surveys that are periodically sent to the users. Via a middleware, they are formatted and stored into the data warehouse, what is the database, and then they can be visualized via the Elviten dashboard, where the users of the project and other scientists could do queries to the datasets. But also there is an online web dissemination dashboard, we call it, that is available on the Elviten website and provides statistics on all the information that is gathered until now. Of course, we can see that there are monitoring tools that allow to the operator to monitor the vehicles and the users, and also match the identity of which vehicle is used by who. And also there is the possibility from the users that they get all the services via one package to report issues on the users and whatever else they're facing. So we were having all our launch events per demonstrator city and workshops organized. Also, there was per city an ambassador appointed that had to do with someone that was local or nationally well-known personality. For example, for the city of Trikala, the ambassador was appointed to be the mayor, and he was involved in all the campaign around the demonstration. I will take you through the infrastructures that were used per city. In Bari, for example, now we can see also the parking spaces that were deployed there. In Genoa also. I will just pass through this quickly. In Malaga again with e-hubs and parking spaces. In Trikala and in Berlin, and finally in Rome. So this is the view of the dashboard. As you can see, there are all the main statistics for all the cities and for the users, for the trips, for the questionnaires that each user is submitting after the users or periodically. And this is available on the website. Also, we have some results on the distribution trips per city, and also some tables about the purpose of the trips, what is the user type and the center. So concluding until now, we could see that usually the LVs were used for short distances. So the average trip distance was about 4 kilometers. Most of the users were regular, so they were coming back to use the vehicles. Mainly the purpose was work and education. Male gender was predominant, but it was the same in terms of distances for both. And the users involved from 30 to 59 was the highest age group. Also from the surveys, we found out that the users were 90% satisfied with what was offered via the services and the tools. And the reasons that they were selecting LVs were for saving time, because it was found to be comfortable for them, and also out of curiosity for these vehicles. The demonstrations ran also during the March and April 2020, so during COVID. And what we saw was that, of course, there was a much lower number in the trips. There was a slight difference in the purpose of the trips now, because instead of work and education, we had an increase in terms of leisure entertainment purposes. During the weekends, we saw some higher occupancy, but we didn't see any differences in terms of the trip distance. And in general, as a conclusion for the patterns that we were seeing until, let's say, February of this year. Of course, the involvement of the users and the stakeholders is critical, because we want to ensure the replicability of the project results and of the guidelines that will be drawn after the project. So we established a network of follower cities, and until now we have an agreements with 16 European cities. as well as with the regional stakeholders groups, an amount of 78, and this is open, and if anyone, of course, is has interest into following up with the results and with the webinars that we will do for sharing the guidelines and the policies that we form. Of course, it's open for to communicate with us, and we can come into some agreement. And at this stage, we are at the final analysis of the real users of the mobility, the parking, and the charging patterns. The demonstration is extending until June 2020 due to the COVID. So we are looking to scale up the findings also for the potential market uptake of the LVs and prepare the sustainable business models, as well as the guidelines for the vehicle manufacturers and the planning authorities. And in general, as a conclusion, apart from the general impact on improving the urban environment and the environmental benefits and the reduction in the energy consumption or the improvement of the daily commutes of the users, of course, being able to have a database of real data coming from trips and from the ICT tools and from the questionnaires is really important to enable the creation of sustainable business models, and also help authorities plan their policies, but also give an analysis to the manufacturers so as to plan for the next generation of LVs that will be now according to what are the real users' needs and expectations. And that would bring the end of my presentation. I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of the sessions.